Welcome to the Fishbowl Radio, everybody. My name is Chief here, and we're doing our LSU versus Oklahoma preview for 2024 here on this episode here of the Fishbowl Sports Radio here. You know, we're back here finally toward the end of the regular season for the LSU Tigers and college football in general. So, the SEC expanded, and this is why this is our first matchup with LSU and Oklahoma underneath the SEC umbrella conference, if you will. So this should be a fun episode to see how it all goes down here. And, I'm excited about it here. The last time LSU and Oklahoma played each other, I believe, was the 2019 semifinal game in the college football playoff. Joe Burrow and company, they took care of business that year. So, and ended up winning the national title. So this is kind of what brings us to this moment here. So, a lot has changed in college football since then. It's not really even the same sport anymore. So we'll just get through this as we go through there and just see what happens there. So without further ado, let's start getting into this game here real quick here and just see what everybody is about here. So LSU is 7-4 so far and finished 8-4. And I know there's been the fire Brian Kelly bandwagon for the last, second half of the season, basically. It was more came out with when the loss to USC. USC turned out not to be really that good of a team this year. And look, the problem this year, I don't think it was really much of the defense. It's been their offensive running game. I think it's been really been the big problem with LSU this year. But they ended up beating Vandy, which Vandy turned out to be better than a lot of people thought in the season here. And coming up here. So the kind of top everything off here, LSU's ranked 109th in rushing. And if you would go back a decade or two ago, that LSU was very much get a game managing quarterback, run the smash mouth football, play great defense, and you win games and a couple of championships along there. That's what LSU's bread and butter was for so many different years in college football. That was their blueprint. And then Ed Orgeron comes around and Joe Burrow, and they change it up here. I mean, we saw glimpses of it with Zach Mettenberger back in 2013 into now this very pass-happy age. The running backs really like Clyde Edwards-Helaire back in 2019 wasn't really he was a good running back, but he wasn't like the prototypical LSU running back like the Joseph Addais, the Charles Scotts, the Ali Broussard, and the fullback converted to running back for the 2007 national championship year, Jacob Hester. Those kind of guys, and Leonard Fournette, and they all follow that prototypical LSU running back style, and got brought into a modern era, which that didn't really transfer over too well with that there. So that's interesting to see what's going to happen there. So, and it's kind of crazy how that has changed over the last 2 decades of LSU football here. So 109th rushing so far this year. It's not going to probably go up too much here. They probably won't get over 100th. This is because they got one game left here, and they're going to go play the bowl game. The bowl game won't be as big for LSU fans here. But I think LSU fans need to temper expectations here. That they got 2 10-win seasons under Brian Kelly, 8-4. Now, I'm all about giving coaches 4 years to make something shake or something happen here. So it's going to be interesting here that I know you lost Bryce Underwood. And there's a court case going on right now that it's a federal case that's going to be deciding all this kind of NIL stuff. It's basically a salary cap. That's what they're looking at for, NCAA and stuff. So that is going to be something that I'm interested in seeing how all that works out, because it's going to be one of those very interesting things to kind of see what happens in the future of college football, because that could very well be something that could very well change the game. And we have no idea what's going on with it there. So that's something to look at and see here for sure here. So that is something I'm looking forward to for sure here. I changed this and it changed it back on me. I just noticed it. My little graphic there. There. Yeah. So look, it's just gonna be one of the way the world is with this thing here, the future part of college football. So we'll see what happens here. So let's go look at Oklahoma real quick here and see how they compare to LSU here. Now, Oklahoma coming off a big win against Alabama. They're 121st in passing. Their defense is pretty good. Get Oklahoma's defense. Their offense, is really incompetent for most of the year. 76 in rushing. They're better than LSU at rushing, but they're passing 121st. So I think if LSU just shuts down the running game at Oklahoma and force them to beat you passing, I think that's the way to go here. But good thing for LSU is Oklahoma's weak spot of their defense is the passing game. They're 48th best. So if I had to make a prediction between these two teams here, I thought was going to win here. It's hard to say. LSU is kind of one of those weird teams where they're like, they were in contention for the college playoff. Really good. They beat Ole Miss, and then they want to slide. It goes with the second half of Texas A&M. Lose that one, you lose to Alabama, then you lose to Florida. So that was 3 straight losses there. When you were you had start off 3-0 in the SEC play. So I mean, you look back at it, and you're like, okay, we were 6-1 and 3-0 at one point in the conference, and it just got derailed there. So I think LSU does pick up the win of the year. I think they could very well finish with a 9-win season. If you're looking at rank, 31 on CBS Sports. So it's in the middle of the pack of the SEC, it seems like. So a win against Oklahoma, we'll put them at 4-4 and finish you 500 in the SEC. So I think this year, a lot more pressure will put on Brian Kelly. Like I said last year, I think Kelly's got to make the college football playoff next year. I think that is, you don't get long at SEC schools, and this is your 4th season. Now, granted, I do know that it's, NIL, and I do know that it is, college football supremacy of the SEC here. But you got to put up or shut up in this conference, or they're going to weed you out. That's just the way it is in that conference. You got 3 or 4 years, and that's about it here. Like look at Florida right now with Billy Napier and stuff. They're ready to, because they, started at around the same time here, and they're about ready to run Billy out of town. But then now all of a sudden, Florida seems like they have a lot of momentum on their side heading into 2025. So I'm curious to see how Florida does next season when we get down into football season, to see how that goes there. Because look, they look like they're turning the page over there in Florida, and LSU, it seems like Florida's kind of coming up, and LSU's kind of somewhat in that 8 to 10 win range in football program. Can Brian Kelly get them over the top? If you're an LSU fan, you better hope so, because if he doesn't, it's looking pretty bad for you, because you'll put a lot of money into Brian Kelly here. I was one of the ones, whenever you can go look at the older podcasts, I was really interested in bringing Billy Napier to Baton Rouge, because I thought he would do a very good job of building up LSU's program. And I was an ambassador of that there. So that is something I kind of want to keep an eye out on and just kind of see how it all goes. But, I think LSU ends up beating Oklahoma. I think that will be kind of a nice send-off here. I just think that Oklahoma's, not really the best. I think the Alabama game might be a fluke, But, as crazy as it is, Oklahoma does have a good defense. Believe it or not. The rankings won't lie at this point of the season. You can basically just say, yeah, this is what it is. That's just the way it goes there. So um, it's going to be interesting to see how all that goes there. So um, with LSU and what the future is looking like, it's going to be that big buyout with Brian Kelly. Can LSU even make the move with it? It's like $60 million to buy out Brian Kelly, and that's something that's not going to fly very well with LSU fans, just in general. It's just not going to be one of those that you can say, yeah, this is going to work out very well for us. And $60 million is nothing to sneeze at there. So that's a lot of money. And it's just going to be one of those there. So uh, we'll just see what happens with that there. And I'm supposed to have Juicy join us later on in this podcast here. So we'll see what happens with that there, but we'll get his thoughts on LSU Oklahoma, go through that all over again. But before we go through all that stuff, let's talk about LSU men's basketball. They do have a game coming up Friday against Northwestern State, and then they have Florida State right after that. Dear LSU is coming off a win against UCF on November 24th on Sunday. Big win for them, 7-point victory here. So they lost to Pittsburgh like earlier on that last Friday. So kind of interested to see how all this goes for LSU here. But for LSU women's basketball, they picked up a big win today against NC State, their first top 25 ranked game of the year. So that was a big win for the women's basketball team for LSU. So we'll see how this goes for LSU men's basketball. It's looking good right now, but I'm always wary of non early in the season. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, it's kind of the same way we should approach college football. Is not rank anybody when we come out with. I hate preseason polls. I hate because we have this idea, and then every year there's always this team that's overranked. Let's just let it be. Let them play 10 games in basketball. Let them play 10 games in women's basketball. Let them play three games. Let's wait 3 or 4 games. By the time the end of September is done with, do your first top 25 rankings. That is all. That is, the media can college game day and, big noon kickoff want to go showcase the top games. Well, you got the big powerhouse schools. You know where they're at. Just go to their games and think of who y'all think is going to be kind of big one to let the fans kind of vote where they should go. I think that'd be a good way for them to kind of get around that. But, it helps them out there a little bit there. So anyway, so after that, they got Florida State at home, the SEC ACC Challenge on December 3rd. And on December 8th, Sunday, Florida Gulf Coast is going to be in Baton Rouge. So LSU doesn't really have a tough competition until we get into as far as it goes. I mean, until we get into SEC play, like Vanderbilt's their opening SEC game, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Texas A&M, Alabama, Texas, all these schools. They don't have the rankings for them yet, but their biggest win so far, LSU, is against Kansas State so far. And I would say UCF is also another big win for them. So that was kind of like looking to see who is your top basketball team that you're trying to deal with here. So just curious to see how that's going to work for them. But I do think LSU does pick up the win against Northwestern State on Friday. I don't think it'll be much competition for them. Be really tough to pick against them there. I just think LSU just, obviously a better ball club, more put together at this point here, at this point in the season here. But I am curious, though. I really am curious to see if they're able to get over and to see what Matt McMahon has cooking up there. LSU, now we're going to switch over to LSU women's basketball here. Perfect so far on the year. They have beat Washington and NC State here, so they're looking pretty good the last 2 games here. They got NC Central. For one, well, I almost said neutral. That NC neutral, like it sounds like some computer program they're going to play against. But yeah, NC Central going to Baton Rouge. I think LSU wins this one. I think December 1st. If you're interested, they're gonna be playing at home, 2 o'clock. So I don't think it would be. It would be a. I'm gonna look at tickets right now just to kind of give y'all. There's probably not that many left. Almost gone. You can get a game for $6 right now. I want to see if there's a. So the general admission, I think these are sold out. Oh yeah, all around here. It's at the top basically. You're sitting way at the top, but like let's see. Adults is 7. Okay. That would I mean that's not a bad thing to kind of go see there. I haven't been to an LSU women's basketball game in kind of a hot minute there. I mean they are one of the greatest things to be shown on turf here. I watch all the teams that we cover here, obviously a good bit. Try to keep tabs and see what I'm seeing here. So I can tell y'all what I'm actually seeing with my own eyes on TV or whatever. But it's been a very football season's kind of taken up a lot of our time with the basketball stuff. But once we get in December, that stuff's gonna start switching over. We'll start getting into basketball and stuff and start trying to get to the games. But it's kind of one of those things right now. We're dealing with a lot going on here at the Fishbowl. We're um, you know, is the Cajuns going to host the Sun Belt Championship game? That's something we got coming up here, possibly pretty soon, or maybe not at all. We don't know. They might not even make the championship game, depending on what happens Saturday. But uh, with this here, LSU men's basketball, I think they'll win. I think this is going to be a pretty much straightforward thing here going on here. So we'll see what happens here in that game here. So we'll see what happens here in regards to that there. I was wondering what my cats were doing. Very interesting here. Nighttime cats, they go crazy. It's fun time. So, just talking about the basketball teams, I think, but what is LSU's future? I think that's kind of the question I want to ask Fishbowl Nation, kind of put a poll out there. Like, I think as an LSU fan base, expectations, you have to have expectations. Every team that you support is supposed to have expectations, but are some too unrealistic to have every single year? That's why I said the hardest job in college football right now would be whoever has had to have had replaced Nick Saban. That's why I said Alabama job was gonna be the hardest job to replace because it's hard to follow up a legend, a guy that has won not one or two national titles, multiple national championships. Like the next one's gonna be whoever had to follow up Kirby Smart. That's gonna be Georgia's gonna be a terrible job to take afterward because of the expectation to be so insanely high that would be a very hard job for somebody to come, take over and to do that kind of thing there because expectations are so high for those coaches to do those kind of things there. And welcome to the Fishbowl here, Juicy. What's up, Juicy? Thank you for joining the Fishbowl here.
Oh, not much. I'm just a latecomer.
So,
That's
what
some
you think
stuff
about
going
the
on.
LSU Oklahoma matchup coming up this weekend?
Well, both of them are coming off. Oklahoma obviously coming off that big win against Alabama. Even though they really didn't play that well, a win's a win. They only had like 68 passing yards, but they dominated Bama in the turnovers and the defense. LSU actually they both played well last week. LSU's look good against Vandy, against a pretty good Vandy team. Some people would say, well, they only beat them by a touchdown. Well, I mean, Vandy's played well against a lot of good teams this year. So I wouldn't say it's just Vandy like a typical year, but LSU looked good on even running the ball. They actually ran the ball well. Uh, and us played well, didn't turn the ball over. They look good on defense too. So I mean, uh, I think it's actually might be a pretty good game, believe it or surprisingly. But I just can't wait. I can't wait to watch and see how they finish their season off.
So, um, You think that? Would you think this season is a failure for LSU football? I think that'd be a good question to ask. Assuming they
Uh,
win on Saturday, what you think? Like, you think that would be a failure for LSU? Like, when we where we were at in the preseason to where we are
biggest
now.
disappointment, I would say, not being able to run the ball and the offensive line. Really, that's where it comes into play at. I think that's been the biggest disappointment. Uh, they've hurt their defense, keeping them out on the field too long. Just
Yeah, I think Nussmeier got a lot of the bad blame because I mean the quarterback always gets blamed when they're trying to make a mistake, but he's just trying to make plays. You're more prone to make mistakes if you're trying to make plays out there and stuff. And LSU, I think the fans just have unrealistic expectations year in and year out. That's just plain Jane to it.
I mean, even Alabama's looking like they're gonna be on a level playing field too. Now it looks like everybody. I mean, it's just the age of college football where you one year you just. I think it'll just turn into more like the NIL will just turn into more like that school that catches lightning in a bottle that one year. It's not really gonna be like dynasties as much anymore.
So let me ask you this here. You're gonna see this pop up on the screen here real quick. And this would be a very interesting debate for us there. So, are we seeing this? Let me pop it up. What you think about that?
NIL equals parity. Mm, I mean, I haven't really seen it too much in the G5 yet, but there's like BYU.
Well, I mean, BYU is a G5 school though. What
No,
it?
they're
Okay,
they're
like the
Big
latest.
12 actually.
Oh, BYU. I'm talking Boise State. Why am I talking? Okay, I meant Boise State
I was not
because.
well. Go ahead. I was gonna
All
say
right,
well,
look,
like the
you
schools
go,
like
go, go, go.
the schools like BYU and well these Power Five schools, but they've only been Power Five recently, like BYU. SMU, schools like that, where you're seeing them move, and then they're really benefiting from the NIL more. Uh, Schools like that haven't done nothing in so long now SMU might actually have a chance at not just making the playoff, making the ACC championship game, but possibly making the playoffs too. And when's the last time SMU's ever done anything since the '80s? So that's just one example. But so I think parity, the G5, I think still has some catching up to do with the NIL. I know they don't have the money to throw around like the like more of the Power Five conference schools do.
Well, there that might be changing, and there's a court case going on right now that's going its way to the Supreme Court where it's like in a way putting a salary cap. Like it's like school is going to be able to directly influence into NIL deals. Um it's a percentage of the school's revenue. Now, granted, how much that percentage is going to be, I think they were talking about 20%. So if you got a $10 million athletic budget, you would spend, I think, $2 million you can spend on NIL money. Now, granted, you're gonna have like, I mean, it's gonna depend on how big your school's athletic budget is, obviously here. But I don't think it should be a percentage. I think there should be an actual like number to that because like 20% for LSU compared to 20% for UL is gonna be way too big, two different numbers, obviously. But like I said before, many times before, I think this is just setting up the stage for a power two kind of setup that they're going to end up installing anyway. But it's just the way that's going to be conveyed to it. So I think there should be like if $15 million is the number that would be set for NIL purposes per school, then go for it. I think out of that pool, you would have this parity kind of thing go on more and more. I think that would fix this whole NIL thing going on.
I think doing away with it would fix it altogether too.
I don't, but I don't. I think they should get paid. I still think college athletes should get paid. I think the way that was rolled out was bad. Um, I
I keep
think
saying
if,
I keep saying they do get paid. They go to school for free.
but they're not getting paid in the actual sense though, like monetary value. Like Johnny Manziel, you know how much money Texas A&M made off of him while he was over there as star quarterback, compared to would
I,
be what a scholarship. His value exceeded what that scholarship was going to be.
I get that, but you know how expensive it is to go to school without a scholarship. Yeah, they get paid for free. They get paid. I mean, I don't think it get much. I've always never thought it could get much better than that. Going to school for free.
But at some point, the school is definitely using you as a marketing tool, though, too. That they don't have
Maybe,
your.
that's
But that
the
also brings up another
choice you
thing. Why
make,
they have.
knowing you
That's
make
why that
less.
brings up the name, image, and likeness thing. So I don't know how much you know about the TV broadcast business, but anchors and reporters, they sign over their name, image, and likeness, and that station can use whatever they want. It's the same principle as NIL. Basically, it's the same thing. But I do think the players, I mean the players and the student athletes should have to stay at a school under a contract if we're going to do it that kind of way though too. I think if you make the choice that you're going to go to a school for 4 years of your career, that you should have a contract base. Now, granted, there could be clauses in there that you can get out of it, but then you're going to probably get agents involved in like, okay, look, if my player doesn't see the field as a starter in over the games by year 3, he can transfer straight out, and you would refund him the like his money that he was getting, or from the school, or just something like that. Just some kind of like conundrum kind of thing there. I think that would be something that we could definitely look at in the future here. I think that will be something that's going to end up coming down the pipeline probably sooner rather than later.
I just thought coming out of school, finishing school debt free, is in a way being paid because you get paid to go to school. I mean, you go to school for free, play football.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, they want to make money. Like that generation of college football is dead. That ain't we're never going to go back to that. So, um, I don't see us ever going back that kind of way. I mean, this is just the way it is. I've learned to kind of just accept it here. I think there should be like contracts in place though. I think there should be a hard number cap of what these players can make here, because if that is not the case, they're not amateur athletes. That is insane, because that's how the NCAA kind of
Okay.
plays out college football to
Okay.
be. They're not amateur athletes; they're professional athletes at that point, because they're getting paid. That is a professional service. You're paying for a service, basically.
That's what I was. That's another point I want to say. You don't you make it to the professional league to get paid. You don't get paid in college because then you basically turning college into a professional, another professional football league.
College is the minor leagues of the NFL right now. It's the minors, they're kind of like trying to figure out, like, okay, look, like high school is just, you know, you're playing to have fun. It's not professional. That's the amateur level. College is semi-pro. NFL is the professional. You can make a little bit of money. So that I think that term coin should be kind of used a little bit there. But so, what you thought of the latest college ball playoff poll, Juicy?
Let's see. This is the first time I get to look at it. I've been busy. I'm first now looking at it right now. Mm,
I'm gonna pull them up
Texas,
real quick. Let's
Texas
see. Let's see.
A&M probably should have fell further. I mean, should have probably fell out. South
Also,
Carolina's
give
in
me
that
your pick for
spot.
LSU and Oklahoma. Who you think you got in that game?
I'm a I'm gonna go ahead and take LSU to finish out strong on senior day to close the season out.
I said the same thing. I think they'll win too. Let me share this real quick here. Let's
But
see.
LSU's been so hard to predict. Like they went on a 6 game win streak. They beat Ole Miss. Then they turn around. Well, they look good. Then they go on this 3 game skid, and they uh then they beat a Vandy team that I probably think they're gonna lose to. So I really can't tell you no more what's gonna happen. But that's just what I
So
think's gonna happen.
I have the bracket pulled up right now. Um, man, like, oh come on. Okay, look, I'm moving up. Okay, so Arizona State's ranked number 16 with a 12 seed. People are still confused about how all that seating works because I've been in the LSU fan pages all over, like group pages and stuff, posting updates about this stuff, and a good bit of people still don't know how this stuff works. Because they're like, how's a person ranked 16 gonna jump on me number 12? I'm like, hold on a second, because they're being projected as the Big 12 conference champion. You see, they're in the first round here. So if you're watching this anywhere, I'm not targeting you. It's just like I've said this so many times on this show, online, that I'm just getting driven crazy by it a little bit. But look, they're projected as your Big 12 champion, Arizona State. Then you got Ohio State there. Oregon's projected to win the Big 10. Boise State's projected as your Group of Five representative. But look how crazy this is. Boise State's at number 4. They're getting their first round bye. Now, Alabama is the second of the first team out, kind of thing. So they're just barely missing it here. Let me throw this your way, Juicy. What if Texas, okay, they go meet Georgia in the SEC championship? Georgia loses to Texas. Is Georgia out?
Is Georgia out? That's a hard. That's a hard thing to say, man. Honestly, I think the runner-up, honestly, probably would get in. That's just my opinion. Alabama, I think, would probably miss. Tennessee would probably get in. Uh, just looking at how the rankings look right now. Uh, Now, Alabama could very well lose the Iron Bowl. I mean, they lost to Oklahoma, and Auburn just came off that big win against A&M.
Yeah, this is gonna be one of those that I look at that bottom part of that bracket, and Texas has the easiest road to that national championship. I think if everybody does what they're supposed to do and win, all these teams win right here, and we go to the conference championship games and they win, and this bracket stays the same, Texas has got to be excited because I think they're part of the bracket's easiest bracket to go through. Or Miami. I think they're looking pretty good, both those teams. What you think, Juicy?
Yeah, Miami had that tough loss, but they still looking in pretty good shape.
Well, like I'm
Uh,
talking about the bracket setup, man. That bracket's perfect for Miami and Texas.
yeah, they got pretty good. Hold on, let me pull it up here. I had it.
I have the bracket pulled up on the screen right now if you need to look at
Oh,
it.
I got it. right here, Texas. Yeah, Texas with SMU and Miami. Yeah, they're in a good position, I would think.
Yeah, SMU or Notre Dame is going to slide into that spot against Texas, and like Texas is going to get or Miami, and they're going to both get like whoever's in that semi area right there in that semifinal spot is looking like whoever comes out of this game here is going to probably be in a lot better shape than whoever's coming up in that top spot, whether it be Oregon, Boise State, or any of those other four teams at the top part of that bracket. That top part of that bracket is looking rough. And I know Oregon does not want to play Boise State again. That 3-point win they had against Boise State might not happen in January. Oh, it's fun. It's fun, man. I love this little playoff bracket. It's looking really fun to going to be fun to
Yeah,
predict these
I like
games.
being able to I like being able to talk about it kind of beats the old usual four teams, so it kind of makes it a little more interesting.
A lot of I think I like having more teams in there. I would love to have had 16 so you don't have these buys coming up for these other teams, but I think 12 is good for what it is. I think 16 would be perfect as it is and just be kind of done with it at
Well,
that point.
The FCS does 24.
Yeah, they do.
They have 8 teams in buy and with first round buys, and it's set up the same. It's just 8 teams first round buys, and they go from there.
I do think we need to stop ranking teams in the preseason. I think that is something that would help this playoff bracket a lot. I think once you get to 3 and you release the first like first week of October, that's when you release your top 25 poll. I think
You
we need
could
to
do
start
your
putting
get through August. Well, get through September, and then start
yeah,
doing
that's
the
what I'm
ranking.
saying. The first week of October you release your first poll.
Yeah, because they really aren't. It kind of does an injustice to some
Because I
teams.
do think that there's like biases involved with like some of these teams being up there, being that highly ranked, and they shouldn't be that highly ranked. Like USC had no business being ranked. And look LSU, like some of these teams they shouldn't have been ranked. That
I mean, and this year in college football has been, I don't know, it's been like one team beats somebody, and then you think, well, they're gonna beat everybody or beat them, and then a total flip, and then like nobody expected Oklahoma to beat Alabama. I still can't believe that. Nobody expected Vandy to beat Alabama. I'm just talking about some of the games that happened this year. Like that's why the rankings would have been so much harder. The rankings have been had a lot of had a lot more of a challenge this year.
since it's the last week of college football, I know you want to do the top 25 picks. We'll just run through them real quick here. I'm not going to spend much time on them because it's just rivalry week. But for the sake of redundancy, we'll do it here. So I know we picked LSU and Oklahoma, but we've had a good discussion about everything here today. Let's see. Let me get that pulled up here real quick. Oh man, NCAA football.
Who did y'all pick for who? What were y'all picks for ULM or thing?
I picked UL to beat ULM.
I would agree with
That
that.
that was my prediction. That was my prediction for UL to beat ULM again in the Sun Belt Championship game. But yeah, if you want to hear the rest of our talk about that, we have another episode before that here on our YouTube page, Facebook, Instagram. You could like we do our little shorts there too. You can watch that there. So let's get this top 25 picks coming up here, week 14 edition. Why did I put closing thoughts up there? Okay. Anyway, week 14 picks coming in hot here. Let's get them.
Let's
There they
go.
are. We got a Thanksgiving game. So some things are gonna be gave. But Memphis take on number 17 Tulane. Give me Tulane. I think they win. Who you got?
Yeah, I got Tulane. I wouldn't be surprised if Memphis would win. They've had a pretty good year too, but I'm gonna take Tulane.
Oregon State take on number 11 Boise State. I got Boise State winning.
Yeah, I got Boise State.
Oklahoma State take on number 25 Colorado. Give me Colorado winning this one.
Yeah, I'll take Colorado. Man, I didn't realize Oklahoma State was 3-8 though.
Yeah, Mississippi State taking on number 14 Ole Miss. I think Kiffin and the boys bounce back. Give me Kiffin and Ole Miss.
I think Ole Miss, Mississippi State hasn't even won a conference game this year.
Yeah. Georgia Tech take on number 7 Georgia. Give me Georgia.
Yeah, I got Georgia, but Georgia Tech has played some good games this year.
They have. Michigan take on number 2 Ohio State. Give me the Buckeyes.
Ooh. Oh yeah, this game doesn't have the usual intrigue it has. I'll take Ohio State.
Number 8 Tennessee taking on Vanderbilt. This one's interesting. Um,
Vandy's been so hard to predict this year.
yeah, Vandy is like could lose to Georgia State, then they can just go pull off a win against Alabama. You don't know what you're gonna get with this team. I got Tennessee though.
I'm gonna go with Tennessee, but I think it's gonna be a close game though.
15 South Carolina taking on number 12 Clemson. Give me the Gamecocks for an upset.
What? As fate would have it, I actually agree with you. I think South Carolina's gonna pull this off.
Number 23 Illinois taking on Northwestern, which is the crazy back to the Clemson and South Carolina game. South Carolina might better play themselves into a playoff spot possibly.
Yeah, South Carolina's got a lot to play for. Actually, they could play
Yeah,
for at-large bid, an at-large shot.
because they're definitely within the realm of those like spots
Especially
jumping
if
and
they
stuff.
beat Clemson, who has a real good chance of getting in.
Yeah, like, and that could very well because Clemson might be in that ACC title race too, but that wouldn't
Mm.
end them there. They would need Miami or like somebody like that to stumble. Which Miami's playing Syracuse, which we'll get down to later to the list, but that could be a potential thing that happened right there.
Shane Beamer's apparently turned out pretty well for South
Pretty good hire
Carolina.
for them. Number 23, Illinois taking on Northwestern State. I mean Northwestern. Yeah. Who you got, Juicy?
You going with Northwestern, actually?
No, I'm going Illinois.
Oh. Yeah, I got Illinois.
Maryland taking on number 4 Penn State. I got Penn State beating Maryland. Who you got, Juicy?
I, sir, have Penn State as well.
All right, number 5 Notre Dame taking on USC. This one's kind of interesting here. I think USC could very well come out and win this game here, possibly. But I'll go with Notre Dame. Who you got, Juicy?
This one's going to be a good game. It's a pretty good rivalry. They've had a lot of good games. But I'm going to go with Notre Dame.
Miami, number 6, taking on Syracuse. Give me the Hurricanes, but I don't trust Miami's defense, though. Who you got, Juicy?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Miami. They bounced back nice after they lost to I think it was Georgia Tech a couple weeks ago.
Cal taking on number 9 SMU. I got SMU beating Cal. Who you got, Juicy?
I got SMU.
Auburn taking on number 13 Alabama.
Oh,
Iron
another
Bowl.
interesting game.
Yeah, so Auburn coming off that win against a big one. Both these teams are coming in two different directions. Alabama coming off that loss against Oklahoma. Auburn coming off a big win against Texas A&M there. So look, that's going to be one that's going to be interesting to see here. So I mean, 11.5 point spread. But man, I think Alabama bounces back because if you play that bad, the only way you can go is up. I think that's like the bottom for Alabama. They had the potential to be like one of those things, but like a title contender earlier in the year. But I don't know. They're like too Jekyll and Hyde for me. I think
It's
I
definitely
got
not your Nick
Alabama.
Saban. It's definitely not your Nick Saban, Alabama.
No, it definitely isn't.
Man, How close you think this game's gonna be? Closer than 11 points?
If I was betting on this game, I'm definitely taking Auburn because I think this game's gonna be close to 11 points.
I agree with you. I'm reluctant to pick Alabama due to the inconsistency, but I'm gonna pick them. The home teams usually win these matchups, though. This rivalry game like 75% of the time, so I'm gonna go with the odds on that.
Yeah, I got Arizona. Arizona State and Arizona playing. It's number 16 Arizona State. Now the crazy thing is this Big 12 race can go in. There's literally a possibility that could end up being an 18 tie, even though it's like one in like 1600ths of a chance or something like that. Some crazy odd number that I saw on ESPN like a day ago or something, or
Hmm.
yesterday. Uh, you can't predict this Big 12 race, but I got Arizona State winning. Who you got, Juicy?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Arizona State.
Arkansas taking number 21, Missouri. Give me the Tigers. I think they'll take care of business here, but my confidence in that one's like a 1 out of 10.
I'm gonna disagree with you. I'm gonna go with Arkansas to do a
You
little
know,
upset
like
here.
yeah, I could see
Arkansas's
that.
played. I mean, Arkansas is one of those teams that can can uh can very well pull it off too. So they upset
Arkansas
Tennessee already this year.
Arkansas is one of like I would call sneaky good. They're not great, but they're really sneaky.
I find it
They're
crazy that LSU had blew them out, considering how good
they're
they
a
can
lot.
be.
Their Arkansas is better than what their record indicates. They're a
Consider
sneaky good team.
considering, I'm surprised LSU blew them out, considering how good they could be.
Purdue 1-10 taking on Indiana 10-1. Number 10 Indiana. Indiana's gonna win this game to get like back their swagger and stuff that they had before the Ohio State game.
I
I got
still don't think the
Indiana
Ohio
winning this
State
one.
game was that bad for them. I mean, it got a little, looked like it got a little out of hand, but I'm gonna go with Indiana. They're gonna get in the probably they might be a playoff team too.
Washington taking on number 1 Oregon. I got Oregon winning this one.
Yeah, I got the Ducks.
This is a game that everybody's been kind of watching, I think. Here, number 3 Texas taking on number 20 Texas A&M. Texas favored by 5 points here. I'm worried about this one if I'm Texas because they kind of had an easier road in the SEC this year. They could very well lose this game to Texas A&M.
I think this is
I think
playing for
A&M
the
has,
final. I think this is playing for the. I think this is for the other spot in the SEC championship
yeah,
game. I think.
that's the kicker here. Texas A&M would love to beat Texas. That is like their biggest. This is their biggest game of the year for Texas A&M.
Oh, it's a big
And
game for both of them.
yeah, I think if Texas loses, they're still going to be in the playoff. And
I think this is
I,
a much more of a must win for A&M than Texas,
yeah,
though.
they A&M has to win it, and I feel like this team plays very well with their back against the wall. But oof. I'm gonna go with Texas though. Give me Texas. Who you got, Juicy? I wanted to so bad too.
Man,
That one
I'm
had
a,
me stressing.
I'm a just based off. I'm gonna have to go with Texas, but God dog, my confidence is about a 4 out of 10. But I'm gonna go with Texas. It's not a 1 out of 10. It's a 4 out of 10. I'm gonna
The-
go with.
I'm lower than that. I feel like I'm a 2 because I'm gonna tell you why. I just look at that Georgia game that Texas played, and I feel like we might be kind of in the same kind of feeling that because Texas never really had any big marquee like high matchup really compared to that Georgia game, and they fell flat on their face basically. Um, I don't know, man. Like Texas had a really good pull in the SEC this year. Like their teams that they played against, they had Colorado State, they had Michigan, which Michigan wasn't nearly as good as what everybody else made it out to be. You know, another reason why we shouldn't have preseason polls. UTSA, UOM, Mississippi State, Oklahoma. Georgia. Then you had Vanderbilt, Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky. Now you got A&M in them. So if you look at poise and strength of schedule and stuff, I'm not really confident in saying that Texas is your team to really look at here.
Well, in their defense, though, you can only play the schedule you have, and that's what their record is. So I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you are right. I mean, you have to play the schedule in front of you, but like
that's all. I
as
mean,
far
that's
as
all they can.
evaluating teams, it's kind of tough to evaluate a team whenever you don't really have that marquee schedule that some other teams have in the same conference as yours. So we'll just see what happens with it there. Number 24, Kansas State taking number 18, Iowa State. Give me I'm taking Kansas State. Who you for an upset technically. 2.5 point favorites Iowa State. Who you got, Juicy?
I was thinking the same thing. I'll go with Kansas State as well.
Nevada taking on number 22, UNLV. Give me UNLV to knock off Nevada. Who you got, Juicy?
I got UNLV.
Houston taking number 19, BYU. BYU needs to win this one. They're on a losing streak so far. Give me BYU. I think they'll beat Houston. Who you got, Juicy?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with BYU.
All right. Well, let's try to close out the show here. What you think, Juicy? Any closing thoughts with LSU and Oklahoma coming up this weekend?
I say if LSU loses, it's still not the end of the world, and it's not a fire Brian Kelly type of thing. Everybody needs to just cool the brakes on that. But anyway, that's all I'm gonna add to that.
Well, like I said, I think LSU is going to beat Oklahoma this weekend. Here, kind of interested to see what bowl LSU gets out of this here.
They're projected to
Like
Texas Bowl. I've seen.
yeah, like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. That is something that we got coming on tomorrow. A lot
Yep.
going on tomorrow. And then, you got the Black Friday, which, this whole month feels like it's been Black Friday with all the sales and everything else. But go spend time with your families. You don't have that, we all have a certain amount of time that we can spend with them while they're here with us. So, make the most of it. But yeah, like thank y'all for tuning into this show here tonight, guys. We appreciate doing this every week for y'all. And just follow us on all our social media channels, Facebook, X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We're all on those platforms here. We're currently streaming live on Instagram and YouTube right now. But thank y'all for tuning in. Hope you have a great, wonderful day. We'll see y'all here next time here on the Fishbowl Sports Radio. Have a good night, Fishbowl Nation.
Good night and happy Thanksgiving.